Welcome everyone back to the Anarchy Arena podcast, and boy do we have a great episode for you today. We get the thrilling conclusion to Jack's spiritual quest, and of course, all the notes in between the music. So sit back, put your feet up, and imbibe whatever your preferred form of libation is, as we go deeper into hell. It's like, again, going from Christian to, atheist, I had to supplement my own belief system because I no longer believed in a paranormal essence. Like, I believed in, so what I substituted it with was a little bit more of a humanist type of thing. Like, society is, what we really should be trying to strive for as the human race is trying to make society more, protect the downtrodden, protect the innocent, and that's what we should focus on. Now, granted, I'm an American, so that really doesn't fucking happen, but that's my belief system. That's what we should be striving for as a race, as a species.
Yeah, for me it's like everyone needs a hand occasionally.
Yes.
Right.
Like there's nothing wrong with it, and another part of my experience tells me no one got rich on their own.
Right.
It doesn't happen. It absolutely does not happen. You either got a leg up from an inheritance or from a business partner or from a disaster, or it's not always you. Sometimes it's just luck.
Right.
A lot of it's luck. Right place, right time.
A lot of it's luck.
Kind of thing.
A lot of it is. Yeah.
Especially
how to put it, like, a lot of it's luck, but you always have to meet luck halfway, and there are a lot of people that can't do that.
Right.
Or at least won't.
That's true.
Right. You got to put the work in, so you increase your own odds, and then luck fills out the bits in between.
Fortune is fleeting unless you know what to do with it.
Right.
It's like Dr. Dre says on that one Kendrick Lamar song.
Oh, shit.
You said you wanted a spot like mine. Anyone can get it. The hard part's keeping it, motherfucker. And I'm like, no, that's a man who totally understands that you got to meet fate halfway.
Oh yeah, he's also Jack is also a Satanist that listens to metal and gangster rap. So
yeah,
you were just a weird
man.
amalgamation of things, and it's beautiful, and I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. And I'm the same way. I listen to metal. I listen to rap. Love it all. That's great.
Yeah, and so when I say that's part of being the son of Baphomet, which is, as I said, he's an amalgamation of contradictions, things that you don't think will go together, but they do.
And he's also the grand alchemist, right?
Yeah, he's the great alchemist.
Yeah.
He brings things together. He takes them apart. He is both man and woman. He is man, human, and animal. He is divine yet satanic. He is of the earth, yet he is of the invisible. He's that kind of amalgamation. And the thing that's so fascinating about him is that he is a god that exists despite the fact that he has been formed by antiquity rather than human artifice.
Right.
His image is not one that was sat down and absolutely fine crafted from the ground up by a single person. There is a bit of one god here, a bit of mistranslation there, a bit of, this syncretism here. And eventually, and it doesn't get codified until this one guy, Alpheus Levi, as far as I can tell, he was the first one who did this, who drew the picture of Baphomet that everyone now recognizes as him. but he just drew the image based on all the information that he had collected.
And that's a lot of information to take down and
And
put
it's
in an image.
it's a huge amount of information to like synthesize. And it comes from a lot of places. One of them is the talk of the heretical order of the Knights Templar that was led by Jacques de Molay. They talk about he had a Baphomet. You know, and you're like, what the fuck is a Baphomet? Well, technically a Baphomet is a giant head that you worship. Like it's like a severed head that you worship.
And it was usually a goat head, wasn't it?
It would depend.
Right. Okay.
You know, but goats are pretty common because they were pretty common.
Yeah.
So if it's, it was whatever head you happened to have around, it just so happened there were a lot of goats.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're in the Middle East, like that's
Yeah, exactly.
There's goats.
Exactly. Like, yeah, there's goats, and it's not as goats are valuable, but they're not they're valuable. They're a status symbol, but they're not necessarily as commercially valuable as like sheep.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, like one of the reasons that the goat head happened is just because, as far as I can tell, it's just because there are a ton of goats around. And they're like, we need a severed head to worship. There's a goat. Okay, there.
That was good.
That was beautiful. I saw that animation happening in my head, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's. Well, you'd be amazed at how many like religious rituals actually kind of happen that way.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's your environment, what you got around you.
A lot of magic rituals is what shit did you have laying around?
Like, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's like the Hanukkah story. Like, you know, I do a Hanukkah dinner every year, mostly because I just love the fucking food. I'm such a terrible Jew. I will eat pork at the drop of a hat.
You're a Jew. You're a Jew the same way that if a cow was born in a fucking tree.
Exactly, pretty much. But I do the Hanukkah dinner every year, and I've explained the story a few times. And the way that historians and scientists have looked at it is that, you know, the magic oil or whatever that lasted 8 days when it was only supposed to last one, they figured out that the shit just fermented a little too long and it just solidified a little bit, and that's how it happened. So it's kind of the same kind of deal there. You just happen to have whatever's laying around and it fits.
Right. It's literally a 7-day candle.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know? yeah, exactly. But if you're not, it's that.
But it's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Well, it's that I actually really.
It's also a miracle I don't kill my coworkers every day, but no one's making a holiday out of that. Okay, so
I know. Yeah. To me, magic and miracle, when we're talking about it in earnest, it's the thing that seems impossible but happens anyway. Right. You know, and it only needs to seem impossible. Like it doesn't have to actually be impossible, because if it was actually impossible, then it would never have happened.
Okay.
I mean to quote Lou Reed, you know, impossible is eating the sun, and you know, hard is trying to win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that's miracles is kind of in between that range.
Like, yeah. It just seems like, oh my God, this actually happened. I can't believe it. You know, like you can't believe it, and yet the fact that it happened is self-evident.
Right.
You know. Now. Don't talk to me about turning water into wine and that kind of shit. Like, I guarantee that's parlor tricks.
Oh, well, you know, to try not to derail the train anymore, but you know, the whole Jesus's Dionysus comparison really works pretty well when you think about that.
It does. It does.
Well, I mean, considering that his story was basically co-opted from the Epic of Gilgamesh with a bunch of other stories thrown in to make it easier for people to convert and all that.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that stuff. So, yeah. So I'm confronted by this, you know, the Asmodai, and he's like, okay, shit. Well, I guess I'll fuck off, and then Baphomet appears to me, like in my mind's eye, for like no appreciable reason, you know. And there's a voice. It was like, okay, well, I think it's time for you to meet, you know, your parents. And I'm like, that I know who those are. And he's like, no, you don't. No, well, you know who you're, you know, it's like, okay, you know, the whole like, your heavenly father. It's like, did you ever think that you might have had a heavenly mother? And I'm like, actually, I hadn't, but that does make a certain amount of sense now, doesn't it? Right. So he's like, yeah, so, you know, time to time to introduce. And at that point, like at this point, I'm like kind of wandering around the apartment in a bit of a daze, and I'm not hallucinating, but what is happening in my imagination doesn't seem to be driven by me.
Yeah, it's less hallucinating and more like internalizing.
Yeah, you're internalizing. Like imagine a dream that you're thinking about that is unfolding as a dream as you are walking around.
Okay.
Billy, you're familiar with this, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah, no, I'm just listening. I'm just sitting back and just like, yeah, huh? Mm-hmm. Nope. Like I'm just
Okay.
I've had my own, not in the same topic, but similar reactions or visions, so to say. So, and it's not a hallucination.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. It's different. It's hard to explain. Yeah, it's hard to put like a word on it.
Yeah. It's not like a full on like vision quest,
Right?
Because that's different yet again. Like that is also a very different experience, but it is much more the like. It feels like you're having a waking dream, but the separation between reality and the imagination is clear to the senses, but is not necessarily clear to the mind.
Right. Yeah. If you've never really hallucinated or ever taken a hallucinogen, the best way I know how to describe it, because I've done this shit on edibles. Yeah,
Nom
you take enough of those. Yeah, you take enough of those, and dolphins start talking to you.
Yeah,
but...
Shit, I've been doing edibles at the wrong places. Then I've been doing them at home. I need to be doing them next to the fucking ocean.
No, you just haven't been doing enough of them. Like, but yeah, Jack, you were about to meet your spiritual mother and father.
Yeah. And
who's your spiritual mother?
The spiritual father was King Peacock, who is in many interpretations is synonymous with the devil,
right?
And the angel Azazel,
right?
However, he's also the primary deity of the Yazidi people, who are part of the Kurds.
Yep.
Yeah, so like talk to like this hooks back around to current events a little bit.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So
another can of worms.
Another can of worms. Meet him, and it was definitely one of those like, imagine a kind of absentee dad that really does care about you. He's just kind of off and doing his own thing.
Yeah,
perhaps a little unreliable, but he cares. If you're in trouble, he'll show up.
He's your rock star dad.
Yeah, he's a rock star dad. Yeah. Yeah. And then they took me to there was a bunch of other stuff, one of which was a confrontation with the shadow, which is like the unintended consequence of everything that you are hiding from everyone else. It's a part of you that you're suppressing.
It's kind of like your true inner self is what you're confronting.
Kind of. It's the hidden self more than the true self. It's the true self is a little bit past the shadow. Like you have to have a confrontation. The idea is that you have to have a confrontation with it before you can meet the true self. Because the true self is made up of the both of you. And one of the things is that when you meet this figure, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable and embarrassing. Like a good spirit animal. A good spirit animal, when you meet it, you're supposed to kind of cringe.
Right, because it's never what you think it is.
Yeah, it's like never what you think it's going to be.
Everyone's spirit animal, like they're like, oh, my spirit animal is a wolf, or my spirit animal is an eagle. It's like, I'm pretty sure your spirit animal is a badger.
Yeah. It's more often than not going to be something like that, because you're not people who have like wolf as a spirit animal, like they all tend to have one thing in common: prison.
Yeah.
They all tend to have one thing in common, which is prison. And because Wolf is in constant conflict with civilization itself.
Like people that have been locked up for a long time, usually when they find their spirit animal and it's a wolf, it's usually because they're so independent that being stuck in a cage like a dog.
Yeah,
Can
and that's
conflicts them
the
so much.
part that they're like trying to hold back because they don't want to be a dog.
Right.
You know, want to be a man, but of course, like, what's the classic story? The criminal's mom cries, criminal breaks down.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, because even like hardened killers, you know, their mom is usually their weakness, or like I can't remember who it was, but I read a story where a victim's mother went to go meet her son's murderer, and like in prison, and the murderer's like apologizing for everything, and she basically says, and she was a devout Christian, she goes, "Look, I forgave you a long time ago for what you did to my son, and I just hope that you can forgive yourself." And he just broke down completely. So, yeah, shit like that is kind of what you were dealing with, right? Like you were kind of dealing with like kind of a little bit of an identity crisis, because you can even like tie this into the fact that you kind of have parental issues. Like,
oh yeah, definitely have parental issues.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. You know, if we want to, you know, if we want to logic bomb this shit, it's basically Jack's trying to figure out shit about himself regarding his mommy and daddy issues.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But like, here's like one of the final bombshells of the trip. Is so they're like, all right, so you're gonna meet mom now, and it's like, okay, and I do. And there is this sensation that I'm walking through like a Parthenon with like Greek pillars and shit.
Like
and
insanely white.
Yeah, insanely bright. There's a woman in a red with a red shawl on, you know, indeterminate age, you know, kind of a kind of like general idea of what you think of when you think goddess.
A MILF. Basically.
Yeah. You know,
thank you for bringing it back down to earth, John. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was constantly trying to. Well, I asked her name, and it was one of those like you can't ask, you have to know it. Now there was a feeling of like, oh, you're supposed to get this. You're supposed to get this. And the vision ended and I didn't quite get it, although the vision continued, but that's getting into real personal shit. So I come back down and I'm telling Yogi about this. And he's like, well, you missed it. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, well, what do you think she wanted you to call her? And I'm like, I have no idea, dude. And he's like, Mom. And he's like, your relationship with your mother is so bad you didn't even figure that out. And I was like, oh, fuck, you're right. However, while he was right on a definitely right on a psychological level, absolutely fucking on the money. Turns out, and I discovered this a bit more recently, when the last like a year, that figure that I saw actually does exist in Kabbalistic. No, it's not Kabbalistic. In Gnostic literature.
Okay.
It's called Sophia.
Oh. Okay. Well, who's Sophia?
Sophia is the feminine embodiment of wisdom.
So is she like one of the, like, would you say she's one of the three of Morgan, or?
No, the Gnostics were a Christian sect.
That's right.
Yeah, the best way of putting it is that the closest thing that you can come in normal Christianity to the Gnostic idea of Sophia is the Holy Spirit.
Okay,
I have a little bit of experience with that. Like,
yeah, because you know how it's like there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's not they don't call it the Mother.
Because,
right.
you know, they hate women.
Yeah, because they have a huge problem with women, which I've never been able to fully understand how that happened because it's bizarre.
And
Well,
considering the fact that 90% of the Judeo-Christian, well, not the Judeo half, but the Christian side of the religion is based on the Immaculate Conception coming from a woman, thus making her what should be the most divine, quote-unquote, character in all of canon. And it's just like, yeah, it happened,
Yes.
and we're done with it.
Yeah, and especially considering that the religion that at least acknowledges this, the Christian sect that acknowledges this, i.e. Catholicism, they're seen as heretical by the evangelical sect for believing that.
And I can kind of explain that. Basically, the reason why they view Mary as the worship of Mary as heretical is because and it also has to do with the fact that they pray to, they have statues and shit like that, and they pray to these statues, which I never fucking understood. I'm like, guys, we're in the same fucking club. Let's right.
I'm like, what's that giant crucifix about then? Like, isn't that the same goddamn thing? You just only have one of them.
Yeah, they pray to German Jesus. Like, please
Yeah.
chill the fuck out. Like,
I mean, if German Jesus is slinging beers, I am all in. Never mind. I can't be all in on that.
Actually, my favorite Jesus has got to be like Hispanic Jesus, like Central and South American Jesus has got to be my favorite for the simple fact that, especially when you get into like South America, like, Brazil and shit, the image of Jesus on the cross is so fucking horrifying. It's hilarious.
I can see that.
I
can
can
see
really
that.
anoint
You gotta
people with
look it
tequila
up,
down
like-
there or something. Like, is it like crazy?
Yeah, well, like you know how like, okay, so you know how like the regular like crucifixion, like Jesus got his head like hanging down and his eyes are kind of
Yeah.
closed. Usually they're closed. He's just like, I'm on this cross. You guys are assholes. Or whatever he's thinking up there. And
depressed Jesus.
yeah, that's the one we're used to. You go down to Brazil, his eyes are open and he's screaming. Yeah,
So,
like, oh my
realistic
God.
crucifixion.
Yeah, he's like, ah, and you're like, what
Oh my
the fuck?
It's like that Sam Kinison bit. It's like, I don't want to have to hit up here if you guys get some fucking pliers and a ladder.
Fuck you. Yeah. Like this is Jesus screaming in agony. And I just find myself going, oh my God, I'm sorry, that's just fucking hilarious.
You're like, they actually get it. Like,
Yeah. When there's like, he suffered for your sins, I'm like, I believe you believe that.
Right.
Like,
especially
not gonna
when
argue.
Especially when the consistent symbol is a guy screaming and bloody murder.
Literal
Yes,
bloody murder.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
true. And if you want to go into more detail of what Jack's talking about, he does have a video on his channel where he goes like into incredible detail. Please go watch it. It is a bit of a mind opening video, and you kind of like.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Like, I appreciate your videos where you go into your beliefs. I wish you would make another like satanic video because you went into the 9 satanic statements. But the one thing I wish you would make a video on is, and I didn't realize this was part of the Satanic Bible. You know how the regular Bible, which is what I call it now. They have the Beatitudes.
Yes.
I didn't realize that in the Satanic Bible they also have a Beatitudes.
Yeah, they do.
And you buy the book. It's $10. It's not that expensive. Read it because their Beatitudes are just like kind of like you read it and you're like, damn, Anton's pissed off at somebody.
Oh God, yeah. Like he extols the he extols the rightness of like a vengeance, which is really weird because from everything that I've been able to find out about the guy, he was not a violent man. He was pretty much a pacifist.
Right. He wouldn't go out of his way to hurt somebody, but he wouldn't let somebody walk all over him and then just you'd be like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Like he would never Flanders it, like if he wanted to tell you fuck off, he'll tell you to fuck off, but he's not going to like come around to your house and like, shoot you through a window or like something like that.
He wouldn't go to your house and kill your dog just
No,
on the street.
not at all. The funny thing, he actually was like an animal rights guy.
Yeah, he lived with a fucking lion.
Yeah, he lived with a lion. He was an animal rights dude, and so I don't know where, I forget what case it was where the killing of dogs came into it. I'm pretty sure that was the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
You know,
'Cause, yeah,
when
Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
the satanic panic started happening and everyone's like, oh my God, they're killing dogs and stuff. And it was weird because I can kind of see how they put that together, because there were, in a city, it's not uncommon for there to be dead dogs, but it's usually because of dog fighting,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Or there's a Chinese restaurant nearby. Zing!
Ooh.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, Jack's half Chinese, just
yeah,
for
I'm half
those of you out
Chinese,
there.
so-
Like,
So yeah, that's pretty much that. A lot of that is like kind of where I come from at it, which is, yeah, there's kind of an interesting contradiction with Anton LaVey himself, which is he's a very nice, he was a very nice man by all accounts. Like, it was one of those, oh wait, he's the Satan guy, like, and everyone in his neighborhood, you know, knew him. Most of
Right.
the area liked him. You know, you can, like, you know, I drive by the house the house that he used to own has been torn down, but the lot that it stands on, the lot that it stood on, like I pass every day. I practically live in the same neighborhood.
that's awesome.
I have a piece of his house.
Yeah.
Because when you're a 90s goth living in fucking San Francisco, you're gonna meet someone who has like a bunch of, like, you know, Anton LaVey relics. Like, someone's gonna have that.
I have a piece of Anton's mustache.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, right? Like, well, it was really funny. I remember when he died. The this one dude who was one of the club promoters in the area, he was one of the guys who was hired to clean the house out.
Right.
And he was really sad because he really wanted to, he really thought that they should have preserved it as like a historical monument.
And I agree with that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I totally agree with that. They totally should have.
Because Anton LaVey is uniquely American.
Oh, very much so.
Because while, you know, L. Ron Hubbard made his own religion,
If you can call it that.
and well, you can call it a cult as well, but we won't go into that. But when he made his own religion, he did it specifically to make money. Anton kind of did it as a response to, at least from the you know, from what I've read, he did it as kind of a response to the self-loathing that really plagued America up until the point where he created you know, Satanism.
Yeah, that was his big axe to grind. Like,
Yeah.
was he trying to drum up a little publicity for himself, you know, so that he could have like really wild parties with people? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
He was a carnival guy. Yeah, he's a fucking carny.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing that was at the true thing that was at the center of all the like bullshit is the fact that he thought that it was the things that were being, that Americans are asked to like just kind of accept, were ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, particularly considering that this was also the Satanism comes about in the decade before Roe v. Wade, where that argument's really, really going on.
And still going on.
And still going on, but before the Roe v. Wade decision.
Right.
So that was another part of his axe to grind. You know, because he was like, well, if I wouldn't want someone telling me, I don't like someone telling me what to do with my sperm. I can't believe we allow people to tell women what to do with a potential child.
Right.
You know, that's ridiculous, especially considering he's a pretty smart guy. So he knew how reproduction worked. So it, you know, if it's like, well, what's a better idea to do something about this for it's a person, or to do something after it's in the world? What do you think would be a better idea?
Yeah.
And more importantly, if you're pro-abortion, then you should be pro-contraception. But they're not.
which is a massive contradiction.
It's a massive contradiction and a massive hypocrisy.
Yeah. Well,
which has never made sense. But I've been thinking about this the whole time I've been hearing you talk, and this leads me into kind of an off the wall question, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I might have to take a quick break to get a drink.
Oh, you're fine. You're
please.
fine. So as we all have known and heard and seen, especially here in the last few years, the quote unquote Judeo-Christian religions, or the more standard religions, I guess you could call them, have this really weird relationship with science, and I'm a massive science nerd, so that's where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They have this really weird, completely ununderstanding relationship with science, where it's just like, no, that's wrong because of what my book says. No, that's wrong because of what my priest says, or whatever. So I don't know if this even fits in with Satanism or not, but how is that approached? Is it even discussed, or is it just like, yeah, science is a thing? What the fuck are you people bitching about?
Yeah, the frustrating
It's
thing
pretty
on
much that.
Like, what I always
Yeah.
hate, like, super strong-headed, like, really Christian people, because science isn't even a factor. If it's not related to the religion, then it can't be true, regardless of what science says. So it's like a really gross topic, like,
that's
a really
the
gross
big.
look.
It is a really gross look, because if your metaphysical structure, if your religion, if your faith cannot withstand the facts, then you're not betting on the right horse.
Yeah.
Because what you believe in, you need on a basic level for what you believe in to be somewhat true. It can't be blatantly incorrect.
Right.
I was going to say, as someone who was formerly a fundamentalist Christian, even though I was kind of shitty fundamentalist Christian, but that's not the point. The reason why they can't accept science is because if they accept science, then they have to deny parts of the Bible that they hold true, such as Noah's Ark, the creation myth, the whole the soul thing.
Someone talking through a bush.
Someone talking through a bush.
Yeah.
They have to deny that, and if you deny that, then you're basically denying God, and they literally cannot do that.
Yeah, they can't do that.
Then their faith is useless.
They can't do that trick. They can't do that trick where they're like, okay, well, maybe they can't even say, well, maybe we as the documenters got something wrong.
Yeah.
Like that to me would be the simplest. It's like, yes, the Bible is the holy word of God, but it is dictated by God, but it is put down by the hand of man, and the hand of man is fallible. Like that should have been the tack. That should have been like, well, if this is wrong, then we have understood the word of God incorrectly. And
they can't do that.
No.
They literally cannot do that.
No, they can't do that. That's why the areas that are known for producing the most scientists tend to also come from the cultures where the religion does not contradict science at all.
Yeah. There's a reason why there's a lot of Muslim and Hindu scientists, is because their religious beliefs don't necessarily contradict scientific facts.
The Muslim is a really interesting case.
Yeah.
Because back in what was the Dark Ages for Europe, Islam was like the golden jewel of the world. It was like, it had the most advancement. It had, the best political policies. It was
It's where a lot of your mathematics came from.
Exactly. It's why we use those symbols rather than anyone else's.
Right.
Those are Arabic symbols.
Yeah. I remember seeing on Twitter somebody arguing about Arabic math, and I was just like, is anyone going to tell him?
Yeah, is anyone going to tell him that 2769 in his handle is Arabic numerals?
Yeah. Like, is anyone... Oh, it gets even better. The major invention that the Islamic mathematicians fucking created that changed the face of mathematics is the invention of the number 0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 0 is a very powerful number.
It's a super powerful number, because this thing that represents a non-existent value allows all the calculations to work. you can't do math the way we do it without the number 0. It simply can't happen.
And Billy, you dedicated a large portion of your life, or a large portion of your studies to Middle Eastern culture, right?
Oh yeah.
And this shit is just, as someone who has done that, like, does it bother you sometimes where people are just like so dismissive of any like Arabic like type of innovation, and you're just like, dude, we figured this out like 300 years ago.
It's a combination of so much, like, especially here in America, people are just so ignorant to it because of wars and political demeanor that it just clouds the judgment so far that anything that happens over there just can't. It just, to them it's a terrible or a disgrace, or they just can't believe it. They have this clouded judgment so deep that whenever something good and really pure can come from an Arabic origination, because a lot of origins there and a lot of history, and so they dismiss it so fast, and it sucks, and it's just pure ignorance, and that was one thing when I first joined the military, because Jack, I joined the military for a little while, but
which branch?
And I was in the Air Force.
Oh, excellent.
And you just get
He would disagree with that.
You just get such a really, really ignorant standpoint. You can try to teach them all they want, but they don't want to be taught. They don't want to hear it. They don't care. It just won't matter to them. And
granted, you were also in Texas,
so
Yeah, just kind of doubled up on it.
But yeah, exactly. So yeah, and so that's always, even when I was with you when we were in college, I always kind of really kept it to myself. Kind of kept it as like its own separate kind of part of my life, because I just kind of learned that there was never anything that in a wide public space that was ever going to be a common thing that we could relate on. It just won't happen, especially here in this country. It just won't happen, and it sucks.
Yeah, if you're right now, if you're like Muslim, it's really hard to get that commonality.
Oh, and see, I mean, in a nutshell, like I'm not religious, but I don't like, I like all religions. I like, all of them are interesting to kind of read about in my eyes. And when it comes to Muslim stuff, like I wore a thobe, like I walked around and got kicked out of Walmart because I was dressed as a Saudi. It was great. Yeah, I wore a full.
Is your family actually Muslim?
No, not at all. My mom and dad don't even know I did any of that, really.
Okay. Sure, your mother
my mom
flip her shit.
Yeah, my mom is hardcore Catholic, loves Mary, recites the rosary every night, like hardcore Catholic. And then my dad's Presbyterian, so he's kind of just, pretty tame, I guess, just religious on Sundays,
Presbyterian,
so,
also known as Catholic Light.
Yeah, Catholic Light, right. Yeah, no, that's fair. And so, I come from that background, and yeah, my parents never really understood all of that. So again, it was just my separate life. I couldn't relate it to really much of anyone. But
that's why we got along. Like, because I was just so interested in it, because I never heard about it. So I was like, yeah, tell me more about it.
Yeah, and I read the Quran and stuff, and it didn't mean I was Muslim. I just wanted to learn about it. Like, there's stuff there that you can take from it, and it's interesting to read it. And I was actually, the other thing I was doing is I was learning Arabic, because the Quran translated is not the same. It doesn't come off with the same meaning. So I was trying to read it in its original text, and that was helping me learn Arabic. So it was a twofer.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
So
yeah. There are a lot of words in it that are untranslatable.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're cultural concepts that, like, oh God, what's that word? There's a word that they have that indicates both virtue of action, but also quality of an object being of an almost holy nature.
Yeah, I
forget what that's. I forget the sound for it.
I've been out of it so long. If you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. And I just haven't been around it for so long now that I probably can't even speak Arabic, even if I'm sitting right next to a guy.
Very similar. It's very similar to the concept of mana, but it's not. It's a little bit different.
And a lot of people, when it comes to Arabic, like the biggest thing is people think you can directly translate it. Well, it's not of Latin descent. Yeah, it's its own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely different.
Not every language can be directly translated to English. Okay, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. Like if you were to directly change, some Arabic, like if you you really have to know both languages really well to translate them, because what that direct translation would mean in English wouldn't even make fucking sense half the time.
Well, it doesn't help
you
anything
know.
that English is a ridiculously stupid language to begin with.
It really is.
Yeah, because the way almost, gosh, most foreign languages I've learned, you know, the sentence structure, we're completely backwards from every other language. You know, you always start with, you know, what you're talking about and then describe it, whereas we describe, you know, it's like always backwards. Like, it's English is such a weird language. Like, it really is.
Yeah, because English is like noun, verb, adjective, and a lot
Yeah.
of other languages is like adjective, verb.
Well,
Right. Like,
it's
yeah.
worse. It's worse than that, because what we've done with English is that as long as you have the three main predicates, the sentence is cool. So that
Yeah.
means they can be in any order as long as there are all three of them. Not
Right.
every language does that. Like, not even German does that. German's like, no, you will say it's like this. It is always like this. Like, they have one sentence structure. Chinese is the same way. It has one sentence structure.
Wait, are you talking about Mandarin or Cantonese?
Both.
Or both. Both. Okay.
Both. They
Yeah.
both have one. Yeah, that. Oh, yeah, important detail. All the Chinese dialects use a single symbol system. So you can read anything written in any dialect of Chinese if you can read Chinese at all.
Right.
Well, and they also
You might not
are-
understand it if it's spoken because the sounds are different,
Yeah.
but the meaning, the characters.
They get super weird though, because the more local dialect you get, then you get into like the tonal languages, and that shit is weird.
Oh god,
Like the
yeah.
tonals, man, that, because you could say the same thing 8 different ways, and it's just how you
Yeah.
say it, and then the loudness of it, and the demeanor. It's just like, dude, I don't know if I could ever pick up on
Yeah,
one of those.
it's
That
why
stuff's crazy.
Mandarin and Cantonese singing sounds so weird
Yeah.
to people who don't come from those cultures.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're having to adjust the tone of the voice so that the word still means the same thing in a different octave.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you know, whenever you hear like Chinese people speaking, you may think they're yelling, but they have to yell in a way in order to get the pronunciations and the tones around right.
Yeah, because you notice how, like, when you say some tones you tend to whisper them, and when you say others you tend to yell them.
Yeah.
And they're in Chinese you tend to have to yell them.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yep.
tend to yell them because, like, it's really important that they realize that you said this, not that. Otherwise, you know, someone might take offense and, you know, shoot you.
The difference in tone is the difference between thank you and fuck you. Like,
Very
you know?
often.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of Chinese jokes about that too.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many about like misheard pronunciations, meaning like, oh yes, like some guy mishearing something that someone says and then all of a sudden reaching enlightenment.
It's like, oh, that's what you meant. Sorry.
Yeah. But they reached enlightenment because they understood the guy wrong. You know,
Right.
like just a lot of that stupid shit, you know, like.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why Eastern philosophy is so fun. Like,
So I remember the first time I was learning Arabic in a classroom setting, like in by the book. I hadn't actually really talked to anyone, and I remember the first time I went out in public and I was at a hookah bar, and it was owned and operated by a ton of Arabs, and I just wanted to go see if I could communicate with them, and I was terrified of it because of what you said, like kind of like, you know, they're gonna pick on me, you know, or they're gonna, you know, dismiss me, or I'm just gonna be this random.
Was this in the States?
Yeah, this was in Middle Tennessee. This is when I was in college and learning. And well, I just went out.
yeah,
and
I've told you before, Jack, that Murfreesboro is like fucking like Arab and Persian central in Tennessee.
Yeah, I think
okay.
I think it's calmed down. It seems like a lot of them are flocking to New Jersey, and I really don't understand why that's the state.
I don't know why anybody wants to go to New Jersey.
I know, like literally, I know so many people and families that relocated there because they said that's where everyone's going. I don't know. Anyway, but Middle Tennessee is still very culturally diverse, just about in any way. But yeah. And well, I walked in, I sat down, I got my hookah, and I started talking to one of them in Arabic, and he looked at me and he was like, he started speaking Arabic, but I couldn't understand him because he was saying it so fluently and clear and fast to his friend next to him. And I was like, oh God, what did I do? What did I say? And I was so nervous that they were just, you know, going to be, I didn't want to offend anyone. And when he looks at me and he starts speaking English, he's like, why do you talk like that? was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm trying to speak Arabic. I'm learning. And I told him, and I gave him my background. He was like, no. You're speaking Quran. He was like, you're speaking proper. We don't speak like that. And I learned then that it's almost the same way. We don't speak like the Bible. We don't speak Shakespearean. we don't speak like, like, and that's what I was doing.
Thou, sir, how hast
exactly.
your lambs begat?
Right. And that's basically what I was doing. And I didn't know that, and so I was speaking in a way that they don't speak. They speak, like how we use slang for just like abbreviated words, like their common language is slang. Like how they talk on the street is all technically slang. It's not, when you're in the classroom and the teacher's like teaching you the alphabet and you just learn to arrange words based off the alphabet, that's like wrong. Like it's fundamentally right, but that's not how they speak. So from the get-go, I was just like, oh shit. So I literally can't talk to you. Everything I thought I knew just got thrown out the window. But he was so cool, and his name was Bassem, and John remembers him because he was a huge part of my life, and he was the one that really taught me.
No, I liked
Bassem. Bassem was dope. Yeah,
I liked Bassem.
Bassem was a really good guy. And
Musa, I had a fucking problem with.
Musa was
but
moody.
I liked
That's
Bassem.
because he was Jordanian, okay?
Yeah.
But that dude had an attitude. But no, Bassem was dope, and he was the one that got me the thobe. He was Saudi, and he said, okay. He was like, I see, like, you want to learn Arabic? I will teach you Arabic. And you're going to sit here every day, and you're going to learn it. And what did I do? I went there every day. And I kept talking to him every day. I went there every day, and I learned, and, I picked up on it, and they were so welcoming. I wasn't just some ignorant American that they didn't want to talk to. They were more than willing to help me, and it was cool. It was like a really awesome experience. And that's just like, that was why I was hooked on it. I was like, these guys are like really genuine people. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, you're willing to meet them on their terms.
Yeah.
Like you weren't making a demand. You were honestly trying to meet them on their terms. That's a big deal.
Right.
That's a big deal for anybody.
Right.
That's the reason why I tell people, like, when it comes to like other cultures, like, just, you don't have to go in trying too hard. Just make an effort. Like, try to be friendly with them. Like, you don't have to, speak perfect Farsi in order to speak to, someone from, some, like you're not trying to make some great proclamation to them. You're just trying to fucking talk to them.
Yeah, and yeah.
Kind of like there's between speaking proper English and American.
Right. And
yes.
And most of the other countries, most of the different
English,
nationalities,
baby.
they're more than willing to hear you screw up, and they'll just tell you what you did wrong. I mean, and it's not not meant to be offensive. It's just, here, let me help you. Like, this is what you did wrong. The people, Americans are so proud and so prideful that they just can't handle that. But
it's very strange. It's something that's extremely common in cultures that are heavily colonial. It's a colonialist attitude and a colonialist culture, and we kind of have to live with the I don't even know what you call it, but the unintended consequences of that. Because America was a colony,
Yeah, and we're still dealing with that shit. Like,
most of the things that you could say about Americans and other cultures, you can also say about the British.
Yes.
Because that's what we are.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, no doubt. All right. Well,
before we wrap up, you're also a horror viewer.
Oh, absolutely.
And you love horror movies. And you're kind of like me. You love the kind of grimier, like.
Damn, I was almost gonna say we could bring them back and ask them about this. We could do this for another freaking hour. Jeez.
Well, we'll see how this goes, but I
wouldn't mind coming back.
Okay.
Oh, we would be more than happy
definitely.
to have you back, man. I'd be more than happy to bring you back. But I do kind of want to touch on this a little bit before we end. You're a horror viewer, and you're also kind of like the B-movie horror films and stuff like that. And
well,
Billy
I like
actually,
I like the extreme movies. I like the ones that are unbridled and like kind of wild and insane.
Right.
And usually that is the low budget films. Sometimes it's not, but it usually is.
Right. Like, for instance, me and Jack both love Greasy Strangler.
Greasy Strangler's a great movie.
I've heard John talk about this movie for so many years now.
Oh my god.
It's
Bullshit
so
artist.
Good. Bullshit artist. B-U-L-L-S-H-I-T.
New word. A-R-T-I-S-T. Bullshit artist.
No, you're a bullshit artist. I swear to God, this scene goes on for 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie. Don't eat dinner while you're watching it.
No, don't. Don't even watch it while you're full.
Oh yeah, no. There was definitely that movie made me nauseous.
Exactly. But thanks to Jack, I've actually introduced Chris to a couple of horror films.
Yes, well, what was the one that we watched the other day that was actually, well, you fell asleep halfway through, but you'd already watched it. We watched, what was it? Wolf Cop.
Wolf Cop.
Yeah, fucking Wolf Cop, yes.
I was actually surprised at how much I liked that.
It's a really fun movie.
Made by the fine people of Saskatchewan.
Yes. Yep.
So what's the best horror film?
What's the okay, when you say the
or your
best,
favorite, however you want to answer it. I guess your favorite. Like
all right, I will. Oh man, you're gonna have to fucking like be more specific. Yeah.
There's like a million subgenres of horror.
I know, dude.
Yeah,
it's like metal.
Well, to describe it as Jack described it himself, it's like trying to pick between your favorite pile of Coke. Like, they're both piles of Coke. How much can I take? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
What was your favorite orgasm? I don't know. Like, yeah.
The last one I had. Like, yeah.
What's the movie when in doubt you can always watch? Like your go-to.
What's the movie that's a horror movie?
Yeah, like that's like your favorite
go-to.
in my opinion. Like, yeah, like you're like, I don't know what to watch. I can always like like SLC Punk is like my favorite movie. I can always watch it. I just can always turn it on. I can always watch it at any time, and I love it. You know what
God damn it! I know I have one, but now that you've asked me that specific question, now I'm like,
okay.
Jeez.
I stumped him. I stumped the Schwab,
Baskin,
dude.
maybe?
No, it's not Baskin, although Baskin's amazing and I recommend it. But if we're talking about one that I would just like, a horror movie that I would have on. Oh, yeah, okay, dumb. Got it. Citizen Toxie.
Oh,
okay.
Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger Part 4. I have seen that movie, I think, more times than anything else. It's one of my favorite trauma films of all time. I love it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I've seen Citizen Toxie almost as much as I've seen Terra Firma.
Oh, God, Terra Firma, that's another one.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
Because Terra Firma is fucking amazing. I can't. Everyone needs to watch that film, especially if you are in the entertainment industry. You will understand everything about that fucking movie.
Here's the thing. Back in the like Channel Awesome days, Terra Firma was what I wanted to do with an anniversary special.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do. I was like, no, we want to do a Terra Firma where we're gonna be doing it's gonna be a movie about us trying to make an anniversary special, and we're all getting killed. That's what this movie is gonna be. You know, trust me, it'll be Boffo, Oscar. They'll be saying Oscar.
Yeah, be licensed to print fucking money, damn it.
I know, right?
But if that plan doesn't strike anyone's ego, anyways.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But let's see. There's that one. Another one that I really loved. Most of the Hammer horror film.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Christopher Lee is a better Dracula than Bela Lugosi.
Oh, I love Christopher. I love Bela Lugosi too. But like, those Hammer horror films have got something going on. Oh. What am I talking about? No, I know the one that I watch constantly. That I will just have on because it's got everything I love.
I got his brain churning. I can hear it.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now I'm remembering now. I'm remembering my answers. All right, Howling 2.
Ooh.
Howling 2. Have you seen it, right?
Okay.
Been a while, but yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I am not a horror guy. I'm not, because if there's gore, I'm out. That's my thing. Like, I just don't like gore that much. I'm not. Wow. I don't like.
Really?
I can't even look at my own self bleed, let alone watch like The inside's got to stay on the inside, man. Like, I
Hey,
just don't.
okay.
I'm not that guy, okay?
Jack, I apologize. I know this is softcore. Billy, the next time I see you, we're sitting down and I'm making you watch fucking Planet Terror. And yes, I know that's softcore as far as
my
gore
God,
goes,
Planet
but
Terror
I'm
is
making you sit
amazing.
down and watch Planet Terror.
Dude, I hide my
No, fuck
eyes
that.
with, like The Walking Dead. Like, I can't even, like, look at it.
Seriously?
Like, yeah, it's gross. I don't want
man.
to see
Oh.
it. Like, it kills me.
Oh man, I don't know if he's gonna make Planet Terror.
True.
And you can pick on me all you want. It's just how it is for me, man. It's not my thing.
I got
Next
gun leg
time-
for you, baby.
When I
Gonna have
watch
to lose the arm, Joe.
when I watch horror movies, I typically go for like the suspenseful end. You know, maybe there's gruesome, but it's only for like the last 10 minutes of the movie, and then like I'm okay with it. Like the ones like even I already was warned I was gonna get probably an interesting reaction, but like The Conjuring fucks me up. I'm like,
Really?
yeah, it's
Huh,
terrifying.
okay.
It fucks with my head, and I can't sleep. And like, and that gets me. Like, and that's good. Like, that was one I could watch with my eyes open all the way through. Still terrifying.
What about the first 3 Paranormal Activity movies?
Okay. See, me and John actually talked about this one the other day too. At the time it came out, I thought the first
Yeah.
one was dope, and it was pretty original, and I liked it. I just don't feel like we needed as many that followed. I thought they got kind of cheesy, a little kind of dragged out, like it wasn't necessary. But the first one to me was unique and scary, and it was really cool how they showed it and made it seem really real, really authentic.
Yeah, the first one's super good.
Yeah, and so that's how
Yeah.
I feel about Paranormal. Yeah,
I'm glad
this.
you
Yeah,
said the
my
first
favorite
3
of-
because after that it just gets ridiculous. The first 3 is
Oh
a
my
self-contained
God, yeah.
story. Like there is a
Right.
self-contained story there that you
Well,
can
that's
follow.
true.
And after that, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what in the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed 4, but it is a massive step down from 3.
Yeah, it is.
And like 5, I was like, kiss my dick.
Wait, there's
I'm
5
out.
of those?
There's 7 of these things.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ. I thought Saw was
There's-
bad.
Well, there's something about
Oh,
Paranormal.
you're not gonna live. Like if you think Saw got really bad, you're not gonna live through some of these later Paranormal Activity movies.
Yeah,
Well-
some of these are just out there to a point where you don't even want to be around it. Like,
yeah,
you're
it's
like-
pretty bad. Some are really fucking bad. Some of them are actually okay, but like you're wondering. But the only reason they're called Paranormal Activity is because it's a found footage haunting movie.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the one that's set in Mexico isn't bad. You're just like, why? This is just a Mexican horror movie you slap Paranormal Activity on, isn't it?
How is this movie
Nope.
going to make money? I know. We call it Paranormal Activity. Done.
Paranormal Activity and people.
There's-
Yeah, exactly.
There's something super unique though,
Exactly.
like about Paranormal Activity. I think I've never realized with any other movie is if you have no base, you probably don't necessarily like get the full immersion because the baseline in that movie is so important. Because
Yes.
whenever like the bass kicks in and you get the rumble, like then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
like oh
exactly.
shit,
You know shit's
you know
going
like
down.
you feel it like, and if you don't hear that, I feel like you like miss an element of like the movie.
like we were watching it in his room, and he has like the sound system, and my foot is laying. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a small
Yeah.
room that like we had like 8 people in there, and it was filled like we were nuts to butts in there, and I'm sitting there with my feet on his subwoofer, and all of a sudden it just goes boom, and I'm like I jump out of my chair. I'm like fuck. So that one got to me. That first one I have great memories
yeah.
of.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the next time me and you are hanging out, Billy, I got to get you to watch The Void. That's
I
such
think
a
you
good
sat me
fucking
through that one.
movie.
That one was really good.
Yeah, I love the way that
I
movie
think,
ends.
I think you
too.
should make him. I think you should completely fry his brain and make him watch Lords of Salem.
Yes.
It's not a very gory movie. There are a few parts, but it's not like
It's not overt.
it's
let's
not
put it that way.
super horrible. It's just a gigantic mind fuck.
Yeah, like like especially when it starts wrapping up, like when the climax is happening.
Oh
you're
my
like,
god, last 10 minutes
what
are
the-
amazing.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, there's like naked women walking around with animal heads in a church. They're priests jerking off. It's amazing.
What the
I'm
fuck
down.
did I just
I'm
hear?
down right there.
I
Let's
gotta-
do this shit.
I got it
I'm
with
down.
Chris. It's just kind of like, all right, I'm down. I'll watch it. What the fuck?
Just
for that
right
Like-
there. So obviously
it's fucking-
we'll
it's
have to
fucking
have you back to
fantastic.
talk just like straight horror movie talk, because obviously
Yeah.
that could be a whole nother show in and of itself. So we'll have to do that
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole career for
Right.
Jack.
Yeah.
So,
And there's more to go into with it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
definitely
for
going to have to have you come back and do that. But before we head out of here, I want to make sure that you have a chance to shill yourself, as it were. So for the people that listen that don't know who you are before they turned on this episode, give them the shill, give them the marketing pitch, and tell them why they should watch your stuff.
Well, Fright Nights and Monster Girls, it's your old pal Count Jackula from the planet Dracula, where bad movies stalk the night. You can find me on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram. You want to look for Count_Jackula on most of those. And twice a week, I stream on YouTube at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursdays and 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sundays. And we hope to see you there.
yeah, occasionally you'll find me on
That's
that
right.
show.
Super.
And occasionally John will be there.
Yeah,
Yes.
John, you've been on Jack's show how many times now?
Oh, God, so many.
Yeah, quite a few, but yeah, definitely go check them out. I promise you, it'll probably be one of the most original things you've ever fucking seen. I was pretty drawn in from the second I saw it.
Yeah, it's
Different for
Jack
me.
has a way of making 5 hours just disappear.
it
Like,
It was very different for me, but it was a really awesome, great, fresh, different. I like it.
I mean,
Oh, thank you.
You know it's a
Thank
good
you.
show when I have to get up for work at 4:45 on Monday mornings and John's lights are still on because he's still on with you at 4:45 in the morning on Sunday.
Yeah,
That's
we've done
funny.
that a few times.
yeah, more than a few times. Like I've had, we're going on another tangent, just like the show.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we
Um,
do best, baby.
If you have enjoyed what you have listened here on this episode of this podcast, come join us on the stream.
Yeah, it gets a lot weirder. But there's been times where like Jesse's getting up and getting ready to go to work, and she's like, "You're still on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm surprised."
Like the sun's coming up. I should probably think about sleep, maybe. Nah.
Listen, you
John like
you
cracks
are
the
a
blinds
fucking
and he goes, "I'm melting."
yeah, basically. Jack has turned me into a vampire without even having to bite me. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right.
But thank you guys. So thank you, Jack, for joining us, and we will have
Oh,
you
my
back
pleasure.
on
Oh,
again. Again, we'll go more into depth about the horror stuff. This is definitely going to be 2 episodes worth of
Easily.
stuff. So thank you.
Oh yeah.
So thank you again, once again, for being here with us, Jack. This has been the Anarchy Arena podcast. I'm John the Joker. You can find me on Twitter at John_the_Joker because people have taken that name. Chris, if
Yep,
you want
and
to
I'm the Metal Barrett, and you can find me on Twitter just simply at the Metal Barrett.
That's 2 R's, 2 T's.
I'm Extreme Master on basically everything except for Twitter, where I'm Anarchy_Arena. And I just want to make a big holla to Jack. Thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, this has been really cool. I'm
Oh,
looking
thank
forward to
you.
doing this again.
All right, me too. Yeah, it's been great.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being for listening, and I hope you guys have a good, wonderful day. And remember, Satan loves you.
He really does.
Wow. Well, I know I can't wait for the next episode Jack is on, because it's going to be a wild one as we go into Jack's other love. No, not big tits, but horror movies. I want to thank Jack for joining us for 2 episodes, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Make sure to follow your co-host at Anarchy Arena if you want to follow Billy. At The Metal Barrett, that's BARRETT for Chris. And of course me, at John_the_Joker. And we would like to thank Count Jack for being here with us. We really do appreciate him joining us for this episode. And if you want to follow him on his social medias, make sure to look up Count Jackula. I'm pretty sure you'll find him on Twitter, Instagram. You might even find him on Facebook if you're still on that. Also, look him up on YouTube. He has some great horror reviews, and every Thursday and Sunday, like he said, he does a stream. And trust me, if you like the podcast, you're going to really love his show. Anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and remember, Satan still loves you.